And we're ready again for another provocative video. Or it's not that provocative, but maybe the things I'm gonna say are going to provoke somebody. Let's see. Anyway, I heard a quote. Let me just find the quote again because it was such a very descriptive quote, very short quote, but very descriptive of what was going on. So I don't remember the actual user in question. I do remember I read it on Reddit somewhere. I don't remember what the context was, but it was something in relation to time, energy, mental health, stress, all that kind of thing, all those kinds of things. I mean, so the quote is as follows: "I am just not tired." Excuse me. Let me begin again. "I am not just tired," she whispered. "I'm tired inside." Think about that for a second. "I'm not just tired," she whispered. "I'm tired inside." Now, there are so many, and once again, I don't know what the context was. I'm assuming these are two work colleagues or two friends who are talking about their personal problems and issues and whatever. And one confesses to the other that she's tired on the inside. Let's assess that. By the way, first and foremost, because I have some personal experience in relation to this, and I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm not very proud of it, or I am actually a little bit proud of it because I had to go through it, but it wasn't fun. Anyway, when she says, "I'm not just tired, I'm tired on the inside," let's break that into two halves. The first one, I'm not just tired. Tired as in physically tired, as in being sleepy. That's fine. Actually, I'm going to use myself as an example. This night I didn't sleep much. I woke up at 5:30, and I couldn't really go back to sleep. And I don't know what time it was when I went to bed, around 11 or so. And I probably didn't fall asleep until 11:30, maybe not even before midnight. So I had maybe 5.5, 6 hours of sleep. I can go on with just 5.5 hours of sleep every single or one day, or physically I could go on for more than one day, several days. But it's not ideal. I need 8 hours. So this night, the following night, tonight, I'm going to sleep well. I'm going to sleep more than just 5.5 hours. But that's not the point here. The point is, I could get by with 5 hours here, 6 hours there, one night here, one night there. It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's what happens. I think that applies to most people. But today, as I'm recording this, I feel a little bit drowsy. I feel a little bit sluggish. I feel a little bit tired. And I'm happy to admit that this cup of coffee here does wonders. Now, I know that I'm going to be fine because tomorrow I'm going to sleep for longer, or this night I'm going to sleep for very much longer. So I'm fine. But if I'm stressed out, and if I don't take advantage of the fact that I can sleep more this night, then that's going to wear me down and I'm going to be more tired. It's the same thing with working out at home, with exercising. I can exercise at home if I want to. I mean, in fact, I'm going to show you something right now that I haven't shown you before. I don't like showing off stuff in my apartment simply because of privacy reasons. If you aren't watching and you're listening to this, I'm about to show you my kettlebell collection. Let's just get this done and over with. I don't know, I'm going to have to look into the camera as well. Yeah. There is my collection of kettlebells. And for those of you who aren't watching, I'm actually showing off my collection of kettlebells. There's about 10 or so-ish kettlebells and some mats. All right. That's it. I can actually trade and work out from home. Why? Because I've set up my life like this. Why? To save time. And also to prioritize training, which is the second most, or maybe not the second most. Sleep first, nutrition second, and then training. So here's essentially what I'm getting at. This woman who says that she's tired, she can fix those issues. She can fix those physical issues by, in my opinion. And I'm assuming that she isn't ill. She doesn't have a condition. She doesn't have a disease. If she is ill, and if you're ill, who are watching and or listening to this, then go to the doctor, go see an expert, go see some medical professional, and certainly don't take my health advice, because I can't give you health advice. I can give you my recommendations and tell you, and my excuse me. Well, I can also give you my recommendations, but I can give you my experiences and tell you what has worked for me. Anyway, let's get back to the point here. Where was? Oh yeah, the working on getting less tired, less physically tired. So she needs to sleep well. That's number one. And by the way, all illnesses aside, I'm assuming that she's healthy. She needs to sleep properly, 8+ hours a week, a night. Certainly not a week. 8+ hours a night. Eat healthy. Eat a whole food-based diet. Cut out the booze, cut out the sugar, cut out the alcohol, cut out the processed carbohydrates, the refined carbohydrates. No pastries, no bread, no pasta, no gluten. Well, probably gluten, but no. Reduce the white rice, in my opinion, and then focus on eating protein, chicken, beef, eggs, fish, vegetables, some fiber. I believe fiber is healthy, but whatever. And then exercise. There's a reason why I have my kettlebells here. And there's also a reason why I'm constantly in gym wear all the time. Pretty much because then I can just go exercise. So that's number one. Fixing your physical stuff, or fixing your physical energy. Number two is far worse. I'm tired on the inside. I gotta tell you a story when I was tired on the inside and what it wore me down. It was horrible. It was awful. It was way back in the day. I was working a low-paying job, didn't make much money, didn't have much money. Admittedly, the price of everything was way lower then than what it is now. This was before the crazy inflation of everything. So I could afford to buy more, but because my salary was so low, I really couldn't afford to buy anything. But if I worked today with that salary today, I don't know that I could afford anything, really. So I had to, I was working this awful job, low-paying job. I had a terrible boss who second-guessed everything, who micromanaged me, whose shoulder looked over me, all that kind of stuff. Horrible. And I also was living in a house that I couldn't sell. Nobody wanted to buy the damn thing, so I had to pay off the mortgage, which wrecked me financially. And you know what? It was so bad during a period of time that I couldn't afford to buy food to eat and gasoline for my car at the same time. I had to choose between either buying gasoline for my car so that I could at the very least drive to work or drive to the grocery store, or I had to eat, and then I couldn't drive my car. That's essentially it. Admittedly, it didn't last for the entire duration, but it did last for a couple of months, maybe, some such. It was horrible. It was awful. And that gave me massive stress on the inside, especially the financial stuff. Not getting the household, paying off the mortgage, paying rent, paying all kinds of different stuff. And yeah, that was tough. And I still remember how I would have given myself. Well, I still remember, how I would allow myself to go to the gym, because I actually allowed myself a gym membership. It was a cheap, low quality crap gym, but still, I went there. Now, looking back, I probably would have cut out that cost as well, because it actually required me to drive there. However, that was on the way to work, so it kind of made up for it, but still. And I probably would have, I don't know, just done push-ups and or sit-ups in my apartment. Regardless, I still remember waking up after having, because I made sure to sleep. I made sure to sleep very, very well, 8 hours a night. I made sure to eat healthy as I could, even though I had to buy low quality crap food at times. And I also made sure to exercise, like I just told you about. But I was still tired on the inside. I still remember waking up in the morning and after a good night's sleep, but then I woke up to problems. I didn't wake up feeling well. Well, I woke up feeling physically well rested. That's true. But I didn't wake up feeling good. I woke up feeling afraid, scared, worried about my financial issues. That wasn't the least bit fun. And so what I realized eventually, and what she has to realize, this woman, whoever she is that the only way forward is through. Meaning you have to grab the bull by the horns. You have to actually physically and tangibly take care of your problems. In my case, I just had to work out a way to pay off the debt. I had to work out a way to make more money. I had to work out a way to save more money. I had to work out a way to aggressively pay down more and more on my debt at the expense of my own happiness and well-being. I remember reading actually a quote in this regard, or some sort of a recommendation, where if you're in terrible debt, and let's just say credit card debt. I've never been in credit card debt before, admittedly, so I don't know what that's like, and I'll never be in credit card debt either. I make sure to pay off all the expenses that I use on my credit cards. Anyway, where was I getting at? Oh yeah, the payments. If you are in debt, if you are in terrible debt, then literally the only tip that I can give you is live terribly, pay off as much debt as you can, cut down all the expenses that you really don't need, such as going to the gym, going out to the cinema, going out to have a drink, which you can't really afford, all that kind of crap. And then, yeah, just live terribly and pay off the debt. No, it's not fun. It's not cool. It's horrible. Make sure to work double hours. Make sure, if you can, to work overtime. Get a second job. Sell all the crap that you don't need, because you do have some crap that you don't need. I, right now myself, have some crap that I theoretically don't need. So if I were to get in a similar situation, well, then I would have sold off that crap. And so on and so forth. And so there is really no other way. Everyone who tells you something different is lying. Don't fall for the, hey, subscribe, buy my course and learn how to make money, how to become a millionaire in 30 days. That's just nonsense. That doesn't work like that. Maybe if you win in the lottery, but certainly don't go and gamble away your money and think that you're going to win, because you're not going to win. And you certainly are not going to win in the lottery. And that's really that. The only way forward is through. It was true in my case. It's true in her case as well, whatever her problems are. I don't know if they're financially related, health related, socially related, whatever. Something is bothering this woman. The stress of everything is bothering her. And that's a perfect example of an intangible time and energy vampire, a non-human time and energy vampire. The stress of having these issues. Maybe it's a disease. If it's a disease or an illness or some sort of ailment or condition, well, then go to the doctor. and go to another doctor and then another doctor, and make sure to invest whatever money you have in the best possible treatment there is. Certainly don't listen to people like me for advice. Go to someone who is actually knowledgeable within the area of whatever problem that you're facing. But know this, there is no other way forward than through. Literally, there is no other way. And as far as myself goes, and as far as other people go, if you've been through what I've been through financially, and you've been poor and broke, and you know what it's like to walk inside the grocery store scouting for the cheap discounted crap stuff, that's the only thing that you can afford, and you can't afford to buy anything else. You can't afford to buy yourself one snack or one treat, because that means that you can't fully pay the power bill that's due in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I know I know what that's like. Trust me. And you don't want to be there. So there's a wise bird who once wrote, I don't know who wrote it. I forget it, but I've heard it several places. And that is you write down, you calculate your monthly expenses. Let's say that your monthly expenses are $3,000, roughly. $3,000. So you stack aside 3 times 12 grand, $36,000. Now you have your monthly expenses for 1 year stacked away in a bank account. Yes, you're probably going to lose money long term, but at the very least, you have enough to sustain yourself for 1 full year, should you lose your job or source of income. And then you work on getting maybe get a better paid job, negotiate your salary, make more money, get a second job, do a side hustle, make money elsewhere. That's it. Or there's probably more ways than that, but that's the God honest truth to what it's like. And that's also a great way of grabbing the bull by its horns and dealing with the mental, intangible, non-human time and energy vampire that is the stress from all your worries and problems that you have, but that you haven't resolved yet. So, lengthy one today, but we shall see where it goes. If you like this podcast, or if you like this episode, whatever, it's probably a podcast at this point because I've released so many episodes. Some are shorter, some are longer, and we shall see how it turns out. Then get subscribed to my email list because I go through a lot more there in detail. The link to do so is below the episode description wherever you are watching and or listening to this. And I'll talk to you there. Bye-bye now.